Guys, how are you all doing? It's Agara Cindy, and I'm back again today with another gist. I trust you guys are doing great. I trust you guys are having a beautiful time out there today. Thank you so much for clicking to watch this video. So I just want us to have a look at this video today. This white man who talks about racism on his platform shares his story. Now, he did a part 1 and a part 2, which I have put them together. Now, some white people were coming for him in his comments. You all know how they do. So he decided to share his story, like to let them know what he did and what happened to him, what made him to stop being a racist. Now, I have put these videos together. Let's just hear from him. And of course, I'm going to show you some comments I grabbed from his comment section. Please check his videos out.
Why I Stopped Being a Racist, Part 1. I've been asked probably well over 1,000 times in the comments and messages why I chose to confront my own racism and my prejudice ideology. So I thought I'd just have an honest conversation with you and break it down over a few parts and let you see into the mind of someone like me, the way I grew up, and the man I'm becoming. Now, here's the crazy thing. I've only ever known one racist in my life for sure, and that's me, because I can't speak into the hearts and minds of another human being and what they think and feel. That's not fair, and that's prejudicial of me. So I'm the only one I've ever known, so I feel I can speak with authority about this. I'm not calling out other people who are. This is simply about my evolution and the things I confronted and some of the difficulties and some of the beautiful parts of this. This is not an easy thing for me to do. This is kind of laying my soul bare. So if you would, let me know if this is something you want me to continue in the comments, please, because it's going to take a lot for me to invest emotionally to be open about this. Now, why is it I grew up with so much prejudice and bias and discrimination in my life? Well, I grew up in a small town in Arkansas, and I am Arkansas proud. Let me just say that right off the top. But I grew up with people who taught me these things, and it was instilled in me. I mean, it was just reinforced over and over. And then for the most part, I lived in an echo chamber of other people who thought the same thing. So I didn't know it was possible to think any other way. I was raised Christian. I cannot explain to you why my faith in God, my morality, and my racism took so long to cross paths. I can't explain it, but it probably took about 40 years to figure that out. There's a whole series of events in my life, I guess, ultimately that led up to this. And prison was probably one of the biggest catalysts, because when you're on 23-1 lockdown with someone of a different color from you in the same cell, you shut your mouth and you listen. You ask questions. And I had so many different cellmates from different countries, from different races and heritages. And it just really opened my mind. And sitting in prison, I had a lot of time to think. And I had some old timers tell me, I need to do my time. Don't let my time do me. And those are good words of advice. But I started digging deep into myself and my flaws, and because I was probably the biggest asshole I knew at that time, and I wasn't proud of that at all. And I knew I needed to change if I wanted to live a productive and healthy life and just be somebody likable. I just couldn't see the world for the way it really was. And that breaks my heart that it took me so long to see it. But the beauty that is born from this change in me, or this growth, is just crazy. God is amazing. Why did I want to stop being a racist, and why am I so passionate about HBCUs and Black American history? I get asked that all the time. Well, to tell the truth, it all started with a tiny little splinter in my finger. Now, I did a podcast the other night in Connecticut with a friend of mine named Ian Bick, and we were talking about my past and kind of where my life has gone. And he looked at me and he's like, "You mean to tell me a tiny little splinter in your finger completely and irrevocably changed the course of your life and put you on the path that you're on?" And I looked at Ian and I'm like, I never thought of that before. 23 years ago, I had gotten a splinter in my finger, and on that splinter was some bacteria that got into my bloodstream, and it stopped in my arm right there where there's a big scar, and it was called cellulitis. And my arm blew up really big, and I had to go in and have major surgery because it almost cost me my life. But they took a chunk of my arm out, and I had to wear a pump forever to get the infection out. It was a big old mess. Because the pain was so intense, they gave me hundreds and hundreds of pain pills for me to take to kind of negate the pain. But what they didn't tell me would happen is that I would form an addiction. Now, this was a pretty serious addiction to pain pills, and it went on for about 10 years. And I was able to afford to feed my habit for a long time until the recession hit. And I no longer could, and I started committing crimes to feed my addiction. It got that bad. I was taking a ton of pills every day. And my horrible choices landed me in prison. I spent 3 years total there for this. And it was in prison where God started to pull back the veil from my eyes. I couldn't see that at the time. I remember, I met people from all different cultures and backgrounds. A lot of guys couldn't read, and I would get books out of the library and read them, and then I would retell the stories to them, trying to entertain and educate them at the same time. Not knowing this is just kicking off a love of history, especially Black American history, that I didn't know I had. And when I got out of prison, I went about the task of rebuilding my life, which is challenging to say the least. I got my CDL, got into a truck. But I guess it's when I started back in society and I started to look at the world differently. I had a lot more empathy in my heart. I was way more open-minded. And I started to realize so much of what I've been told was a lie. And my character was flawed. And with introspection and time, I started to see these things and notice the world wasn't like I thought it was. It wasn't equal, it wasn't fair, and it wasn't just. And it's hard to explain, when God gets a hold of you and you're on a path that, as I began to change and evolve, it was all internal, right? It wasn't something I spoke about. But ironically, when I started making TikTok videos, I did one of science experiments. They went viral. And then I told the story of John H. Johnson, who founded Jet and Ebony magazine, and that went viral. And I realized I had a lot more of these stories that I knew and loved. And this just, as I started doing it and I started looking at more and more historical figures, HBCUs were a common thread, these historically Black colleges and universities. And something clicked in my head. I don't know what, but it was like I bit this bone. And I went down this rabbit hole of just beauty and amazing history. And I started to realize how interconnected our world truly is. And to quote Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. And I couldn't stay silent any longer. I just had this love and joy in my heart. And it's taken me on this amazing and incredible path. I'm sitting here in a hotel in Hampton, Virginia, about to visit Hampton University tomorrow, which I'm just ecstatic to get to do. I wanted to visit Hampton for so long because of Booker T. Washington. And I get to meet the most incredible and amazing people. I'm the turd in the punch bowl everywhere I go. I'm a direct beneficiary of DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, because sometimes I'm the only white face around and I'm accepted with love and grace and mercy. It's one of the reasons I'm such a strong proponent of DEI. And I say all this to tell you that none of it would have happened had I not gotten that tiny little splinter in my finger. Have a great day.
So here are a few comments I grabbed from his comment section so you guys can see what people dropped in there. Now from this comment, you could see Black people appreciating him for sharing his story, which some of them said his story touched him and they encouraged him to keep doing the work that he is doing. I don't know, for some reason, I've been seeing some videos from some white people, sharing their stories, how they stopped being a racist. But yeah, I just thought I should bring these videos here. Let me know what you all think in the comment, what you have to say. Guys, drop it in the comment, and thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like this video, share, comment, and of course, come back for another video. I'm gonna see y'all in my next one. Y'all be blessed. Bye.